All right, joining us now is the running back coach from Williamsburg, Iowa, a small town in the heartland and of the football category, the reigning champions in the Division 3A football. This guy has basically nothing but one-liners, but we're going to try to get a few long-winded answers out of him and see what exactly is going on in this wonderful town that is Williamsburg. Joining me to conduct this interview, if you will, is Alex Redbone. Redden, who do we have on today?
Well, I think you just gave a pretty good intro there, Chips. But yeah, Lee Wetjen joining us. Lee, how we doing?
There it is, Lee.
Couldn't be better, guys. How are you guys?
Doing so good. We were talking before we started. This background, dude, that is so badass.
You're in football, man. That's what we do.
That I just had to touch on that because that is so sick.
Thanks,
But let's dive right into it. So Raider football, it's right there behind you. Raider football coming into 3A last year. We talked with you last year, friend of the program, obviously, and you kind of said, "Hey, wouldn't it be so sick if we were runners up and then go up a division and win it all?" And that's exactly what happened. Can you walk me through what that was like, just to walk in there and you kind of steamrolled?
Yeah. So as you guys both know, we had a trip-up game in the middle of the season against Solon, which is always good, actually, because then you realize there's stuff to work on and whatever else, and we're not perfect, right? So, I don't know, the kids really responded well after that, and Coach Rich even tells this team this year, the leadership last year was like, I don't know, they just, when adversity hit, these guys, they teamed up, there wasn't anything negative, they all positively, push each other, yada, yada, whatever. But then we roll the rest of the season, get to the playoffs, hit Mount Vernon in the quarterfinals, which honestly, looking back, might have been the second best team in the state last year. They were good. Anyway, so that was a back and forth game. And we came out ahead on that, which was awesome. And then get to the Dome, which seems like just another year for us, right? I mean, that's a good problem. But get to the Dome, have to play Solon again, who has nipped us once. And obviously we got better since we played them, and I don't think they did. And pretty much just steamrolled them. And then, and after the game, it was funny. Like, their kids and coaches were all awesome. Like, there was no bad attitudes, nothing, which kind of told us, I think, that they kind of stole that first one from us. But it was probably the best thing in the end that had happened to us. But then we, get through that game, go to the finals. For the fourth time, I believe, Coach Ritchie's made the finals. And I mean, we felt good going into the Sioux City Healing game and got there, and obviously we were prepared and whatever else, and 20-0 later, finally made it happen in town, I mean, well-deserved, right? Like, you guys, the whole town, everybody, this thing's been a long time coming. Like, we've been right there so many times, and then it finally just happened. And the way it happened, almost too easy, it felt like, but I guess that's just, it was meant to be. So yeah, that was so awesome, man. That was an awesome run.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. I mean, it's just long time coming is the best word for it, because we've been knocking on the door, and I don't know how many times we heard, "Just get over the hump." Like, we're right there. We just got to do the final push. We just got to get over. And I said here 20-0. I mean,
20-0, baby.
But that's how you were a good team. It wasn't that you squeaked in there and obviously you win the state championship. Who cares? You win by 1 point, you win by 1,000 points, you won the game. You have the hardware for it. But man, that had to have just been basically storybook. And all of the top tier guys you had on the team, with Weisskopf and obviously your son in there, like that. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know, I hope I'm not wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure everybody, at least I think the juniors and seniors, everybody got in that game and played, which is pretty cool. I mean,
that's awesome. I know our game was a little bit different when we were playing the state championship game, but I know I had a handful of plays, and by the end of the season, I wasn't an offensive player anymore, right? I was just a snapper, maybe a little bit on the kickoff team, whatever. And, I definitely hung on to that, definitely made that my role, but getting in there and getting targeted for a slant, I think it was actually our last offensive play, which neither here nor there, but it did happen, and I was like, I'll never forget that. That's something that those guys, and we talked about last year, we're not going to hit it too hard this year, but like Friday Night Lights is Friday Night Lights. You're never going to get back to that. College is close. With NIL and the transfer portal, it's not quite the same as it was 10 years ago, but you're never going to have those 4 years of guys. They're not going anywhere. This is your team. This is like your brotherhood. You're going out there, you're battling it out between in the gridiron, between the lines there. And for them to come away with that, and for every single kid to play, I think that's absolutely awesome. Now, coming up this year, I got to tell you a quick story, Lee. Football season is back, right? So I'm knee deep in everything. College football, NFL, I'm completely locked in. And I get a call some Friday night, not last Friday, but the week before. And it's a guy who says, "Hey, you watching the Williamsburg game?" I said, "No, actually, I am not. I don't know if I could watch that from where I'm at right now." And he said, "Well, you need to see if you can find that because this team looks unbelievable." So I pulled up, and it, somehow, miraculously, West Branch is actually live streaming the game. So I go back, and I'm watching some of the highlights here and there and the other thing. And I'm wondering to myself, Jesus, is this a D1 team? These kids are fucking huge. Bro, our team, I was 160 pounds soaking wet out there, and you've got like 4 wideouts at 6'4" and 250 pounds. The whole line looks like literal clones of Austin Blythe. What is it about this team, aside from the size, because you don't put up, 40-point wins with just size, but what is it about this team that's going to get you guys back and repeat this year?
The experience, I think, is the biggest thing. You guys have been in our system. I don't know how every program runs their practice, but you guys know of ours. Whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, JV, varsity, it doesn't matter. You're getting coached pretty much every minute of every practice. And that mixed with, we have been to the Dome 5 out of the last 6 or 6 out of the last 7, whatever it was, years. And every sophomore practices, all the way through, like you guys know, and or like if there's some freshmen that maybe could be utilized on the scout team or special teams, they get bumped up. But when you make the Dome, you essentially get 4 to 5, depending on how the Dome goes, extra weeks of practice in a year. And you think about that, and these kids that are seniors now that were sophomores, they've gotten, let's say, up to 15 extra weeks of practice. Like, we think that has a lot to do with, and you just see some of those powerhouses, those traditional teams, once they get on a roll with the Dome, like, it's year after year, it seems like. And 2 years ago, we get beat in the finals, by Central Line, right? That was a heartbreaker. Was that 9-7 or 9-6? But anyway, so then, we're graduating all these guys. And then I told you guys last year, right at the beginning of the season, before the season, whatever it was, like, I don't know. I think these guys kind of got something. Like, because everybody's like, "Oh, you graduated everything. What do you got this year?" And they obviously proved that, right? So I think it's kind of the same type of thing this year where these seniors now and juniors are like, man, we got so much experience. Like, they've been there. And I don't know. And honestly, I'm not going to promise anything, but I think we could be good for another few years. Like, I don't know. It's crazy, but it's
Start
so
of a
awesome.
dynasty. Start of a dynasty in Berg.
There you go. The girls softball team proved it this year. Once you finally win one, all of a sudden next year, you may as well win her again, right? So And as far as this season goes, the game you're talking about, West Branch, I mean, they're a smaller school than us, but they're always competitive. And we did some things wrong in that game, but we did a lot of things right and came out way ahead. Um, as far as last week goes, I mean, Xavier, they're just notoriously known for being legit, like always good. They're very, very well coached. They always play hard. They're always physical. Um, they're a class above us, But we're like, you know what? As long as we do our things and play right, we should be able to handle this. And we did a lot of things. I don't want to say we did a lot of things wrong, but there was a lot of areas we could have improved last week, and we didn't, and we were still right there. I mean, if you have a lot of things to work on, and you still only lose by 2 to a team that's a class above you and awesome, and they played really awesome. That's good, right? So, and once again, maybe this is like last year when we lost to Seoul in the middle of the year. Maybe this is the thing we needed to realize. We're ranked first in 3A, but we got some things to still work on and tune, and maybe some guys to move around. And it didn't happen at the end of the game, but when you think about it, Xavier's last points they scored, that was the win, let's say, was a field goal that hit the uprights, then the crossbar, and then went in. I mean, like, you kidding me? Like, we were that close to winning, too, and we could have played way better. So, I mean, hats off to them. I think we were by far the better team, but they did what they had to do to win. No different than your two guys' clones this weekend. Like, you can't ever blame a team when they do what they got to do to win and you don't, then that's that, right? So, anyway, but I got a really good feeling. I mean, we still got some things to work on this year. And our district's actually they're really solid this year. We got Clear Creek this week. That's probably better than they've been in a long time. They're big, so that'll be a good challenge. And then we obviously have Solon in the middle of the year. And then I think Grinnell and Bent Community are both pretty solid this year. So we're going to be well battle tested, I will say, by the time playoffs come around. So, but I think, honestly, if we can get our stuff together, I think we could easily make the Dome again. If not, just two-peat, right? Why not? Haha. Right, Redbone?
Well,
Redbone. Come on.
what
He
do you
looks
want?
sad back here in the corner.
I don't
No,
know
I'm
what
just listening, taking in everything you're saying.
I said to Redden, I said, hey, you take this next question real quick. And then the guy's sitting over there gnawing on his finger. I don't know what we're – I thought he was going to jump in at any moment there. I feel bad making you ramble. But you're exactly right, because that battle-tested, that is, I think, big. We were talking about Notre Dame on the college football landscape. And granted, they couldn't get it done against Northern Illinois. So I don't know if this stands to be true. But we were looking at their schedule, and it's like, okay, if they win every game, they might get the 5 seed because they obviously can't get, top 4. But are they going to be ready? Is that battle-tested kind of – are they playing fast enough football? Are they, ready for these loud environments if they're playing in, Eastern Kentucky, Western Tech State? Like, that's probably not going to be the loudest environment. Then you go over to, let's say, Penn State wins the Big Ten. A Penn State whiteout game at home – it might not be whiteout, but playoff game at home, they're going to be loud. It's going to be unbelievable. Oh, yeah. So I think if you guys, you play, in the loss is always a wake-up call. It's always a, hey, maybe we're not quite ready. We obviously coming off a championship. I have no idea what that feels like, but I would imagine there's an element of like, we're the fucking shit. We are.
No, it's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, and so then you get that wake-up call, and I could definitely see you guys bouncing back. I do know Redden has some questions, so I'll just throw to him. But I'm definitely excited to see the battle, because those close games are more fun anyways, right? That's what we talked about last year.
Yeah. See, we talked about that last year. How many years has Williamsburg, like when we were 2A especially, you get into some districts and you just maul everybody all year. Oh, it's fun. Everybody gets to play, yada, yada, whatever. And then you get into the playoffs and we're like, wait a minute. Our dudes got to play 4 quarters and we got to run some other stuff. Like, I don't know. But in the end, it's great. And honestly, like, a loss against Xavier, like a 2-point loss, that's completely fine in your resume. Does it look better when we beat them like we did last year? Yes, but you know what? They're a good program and everything else. And like I said, we talked like that might be the best thing for us. So now we just run the table and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it earlier, but you guys did lose some key guys from last year. What are you doing, like, rebuild wise? Obviously, you still got Race. It feels like he's been somehow in high school for 6 years now.
Ever.
He's been making an impact for that long. But what do we do now, like, outside of Race? Obviously, there's some other guys who are returning as well, but I feel like Xavier kind of really honed in, and they were like, okay, we're not going to let this guy beat us. He still obviously had a really good game, but we kind of had to rely on some other guys like on the outside. John Eichhorn had a great game, made some big plays. What else should we expect going forward from Williamsburg in terms of looking outside of maybe just our, number one and number two option?
Well, I will say Grant Hooker as quarterback, he has the potential to be one of the better quarterbacks that Williamsburg's ever had. Unfortunately for him last year, he might have been in the mix a little bit throughout the year to switch things up, but he broke his wrist in like the second or third week. So then he just played defense. I mean, it's kind of hard to play quarterback with a broken wrist, but he's really good. I mean, he's a 6'4" quarterback who is pretty mobile and smart kid. He's been around now for a while. He knows the offense. He knows the way Kurt likes to run things. He could be really well. So he's really good at distributing, going through his progressions and stuff and distributing the ball around. Rushing wise, we got Nielsen, senior, and then Grady, kid that came over. He'll get some touches too at some point here, but we got some good options at running back, and that's something we've struggled with, I think, the last few years. I mean, a couple of games a year we have, good rushing attack, but that's something we really need to improve on, and we've kind of been working on that. And then I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Austin Blythe at all. I mean, it's
Name rings a bell.
maybe a household name. But that guy working with the line is, I mean, he knows his stuff, obviously. I mean, he's been everywhere, played whatever. But he is really, really good at working with the line. And they seem to really be coming around. And, I mean, even tonight might have been one of our harder practices we've had in years because after a loss, whatever, and there's so much stuff at every level that we expect the guys to get better at. And there's a lot of talent on our team, whether it's line, backs, receivers, quarterback. I don't work a lot with the defense or nothing at all. I should say I don't know a lot, but I know there's a lot of talent over there too. But I think kind of our main goal is to really get this rushing attack going good, and then once that starts firing, and I think it's about to take off. I think that obviously opens up everything else, and to have a mobile quarterback that adds to it, right? Because now you got to worry about him. But I don't know. I think we could be a pretty grim team. And as far as distributing the ball, sorry, Redbone, that's where you're headed with that. So yeah, you have Race, right? And he had a good game last week, but it was our first series. We threw a little swing pass to him, and didn't quite make the catch happen, but he went and jogged and picked the ball up after it hit the ground, and the defender come flying in thinking that, I don't know if the play wasn't dead or what, but he gave up at the last second. But they kind of they hit knees, and he took a knee to his knee right above where the quad I think meets it. So all game he was kind of gimped up. So if he wasn't, I'm going to say, I mean, he springs a couple more of those big plays. But outside of that, though, I mean, Eichhorn had a really big game. That dude's really stepped up as a senior. He's all of 6'5", probably, and he's got some hands. And, I mean, you just throw it up to him, he's going to go get it. He had a couple catches last week that I don't want to say they're 50-50 balls, but he's coming down with most of those.
Not 50-50 if John's jumping for it. And
this is true. Yes, this is true. And then I'm gonna route to the running backs now. So we got Niall, who is, I don't even know how big Niall is. He's not a big back, right? But he's really shifty and fast, and he's got good vision. And then we double that with Grady, who is 6'3" and a big kid, and it takes him a few steps to get going. But once Grady gets going, I mean, that kid can run too. So it's kind of a good combo to have because we rotate them enough. Like, you don't know how to play them. You know, if you're used to playing a small, shifty guy and then a bigger guy comes in, like, it's hard to do whatever. But if we can get that combo working good, and then you got all these options on the outside, and it's not just Race and Icorn. I mean, there's multiple kids options there. And I don't know. Honestly, we could distribute the ball around this year as much as we have in any other years. And that's why we're good, because we always have a bunch of kids to, utilize, I guess I should say.
Well, getting that run game going, obviously, you'll get the pass game going as well, right? Get those guys out of the box. Then you bring it back in. Then they swarm in. That's just how football works. You have a good pass game and a good run game. Obviously, you can have one or the other, but it's just not as common. On the defensive side of the ball, you did mention, I'm a little bit curious, just kind of your perception of. We talked a little bit about Mathis last year on the 2-point conversion in that Xavier play and his heart rate. But what is his kind of comfort level now? Is he getting more comfortable with it, or is he starting to get a little bit crazier? What's the vibe out of Mathis?
He's good.
I think we should do. We might just need to do weekly Mathis checks. Actually, just check on him, see how he's doing. I'm sure he'd love it.
It is funny. Like, he walks by on the sideline during games, and he'll tell you what his heart rate is, and I can't even. I don't know. I mean, there's probably times he tells me it's 400, and I just bite on it because whatever. But he's good, and I think I told you last year. Like, he handles it. He's very good at taking over the defense. I mean, Eck was Eck, right? Like you think there's no way.
All time, my opinion.
And he motivationally, you know what I mean? Everything, every aspect of whatever. And Matt does a lot of the same stuff. I think he implements his own, little twists and turns here and there. What you guys know too, he's very good at. He's going to get on you during the week when you need to, you need a little fire under your butt, because we all know you got to practice, and it's always it's the same stuff, whatever. And then he knows when there's a big game coming, on how to ride the kids, and when to yell at them, and when to tell them they did a good job, and this and that. And he got that from Eck too. But no, he's always good at that. And honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I told you guys, I think last year too, that I'm surprised, man. He don't get rattled as much as I thought he would. Being the DC. So no. You need to just get him on here is what you guys need to do. He would do it for sure.
You're the guy. You're the guy to get us hooked up. Okay. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. You see this? Lee? Let's take a second. This is the next evolution of Marv on Air. This is season 45. We keep having to restart. Granted, the thing with Marv on Air is technical difficulty, so that's been an element of it. Then with football season and college being what it is, but we're finally, I feel like, rolling. We've got a decent setup here. You don't seem to want to sit in the middle of your frame, but I'm trying my hardest. But the tech of this. That's the wrong direction. The tech of this, I think, has come a long ways. So now we're ready to start bringing on guests. We had you on last year. We're going to potentially maybe have an Iowa football player who's unnamed at this point on. And then, we roll in, maybe get some more Williamsburg people watching. They want to hear what Mathis has to say, the defensive mastermind behind it all. I mean, hey, we're down for it. You hook us up, we'll definitely get that put in here. Moving forward, I know Redden has a question for you about CCA this week and then what the rest of the season might look like.
Yep.
That was the question, Nick. I'm real glad I sent you my notes and you're just stealing everything, but that's all right.
I'm throwing to you to ask the questions.
Yeah. Thoughts on CCA this week, Lee? How are we feeling? Coming off Xavier loss, how are we feeling?
Feeling really good, actually. They could win this game, right? And lose the rest and be completely happy. We all know this.
Yes.
They're going to come. I shouldn't say we're going to their place, but they're going to come into the game. Oh, yep. Easy. Easy, Marv.
Keep going. Just keep going. Just roll.
That shit's great. They're going to be fired up to get a piece of us. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody
Oh, yeah.
wants a piece of the defending champs to begin with. I don't care what team it is, let
You got a
alone
target
like
on your back.
right? Yeah, for sure. And this is their, they're once again they're a class above us, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, I mean, if I had to guess, I think we're gonna womp their ass.
Kind of
I mean,
boat race them?
yeah, I think so. Now, maybe not, but I think we will because our kids are ready to go. They know that we missed one last week that we probably should have got, and they're working hard this week so far. I mean, we're only up to Tuesday, but they've been working hard. Today was a really good practice. Like I told you before, I think it was one of our probably more physical and harder practices since really I've been around. I'm not even gonna BS you on that one. But no, they're. I think. I mean, Redbone, you put money on this game or what? Like, I
I don't
don't
think
even
any
know
sports books carry it.
what app you go through, but yeah, you need to find one. If
What
it
would the
did,
line be
I'm willing
hypothetically?
to say we'll probably win by 20 plus, I would say.
Oh wow.
I'm curious,
Um,
is the Williamsburg CCA rivalry still kind of a thing? Because I know, obviously, it was kind of before our time, and then we played him in junior high, and I know Redden was going to play him his senior year, but then the schedule got shortened, so that didn't quite happen, and then you played him last year. Is it still as fiery as it once was, or are the Beat Creek shirts still rolling around?
there's a few left. I don't. It's weird because now with social media and stuff, I think everybody kind of knows each other. So you kind of get, you know what I mean? You get a feel. You kind of get along with some guys from there, this and that. Before that, you thought you hated everybody from there, right? Like whether it's Mid Prairie, CCA, shit. Back in the '90s, man, it was Marengo and EV. Like
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what.
that was-
And then after you graduate, you meet some of these guys, and you're like, oh, they're actually decent guys. But it is fun in high school to do this. Oh, there's still stuff between Creek and Mid Prairie. There's still stuff floating around the high school. T-shirts. I mean, in the locker room by the urinal, there's still that one poster. I don't even know what it says, but there's a word that's markered out and it says Mid Prairie above it, right? Like it's the same thing between that and Creek. But don't kid yourself. They're going to be ready to play. I just know through Grady and Dylan Weiskopf, they played a lot of travel basketball and like 7-on-7 football and stuff. So they played mixed and matched with some of these kids, and they got a lot of good. They got some talent there. We're hoping they still don't know how to develop their kids in high school because for some reason, I mean, how'd you guys do in junior high against these guys?
got smoked.
Yeah, I don't know if
I
that's a
mean-
good example.
Not even close, right? But I'd be
Yeah,
willing to bet you if we would have played them when you guys were
Oh, I see.
juniors.
We would have got
Like-
them.
We develop kids, we get better, the kids get better, yada yada. Like I don't know how that works. And there's a few classes that have come through Williamsburg that actually beat them in junior high. But I mean, here rolls in a 7th grade team from Williamsburg, right? And we got 21 kids get off the bus or something like that. And there they sit with like 70 or 80 on the sideline. And it's like, holy shit. But I don't know what happens by the time they get there. I hope some of your guys' buddies that are from there listen to this and are like, fuck you, asshole. But
It's crazy.
But I don't know, man. It's weird. Like, and I'm not saying they can't beat us this week, right? But I really feel like we have the edge and we do things better in high school than them. I don't know. That's just what I feel like. And I guess we could text this weekend. You guys can either tell me I was full of shit or, I was spot on. But no, it'll be fun, man. But as far as the rivalry thing goes, I mean, it's still a rivalry, right? We consider it that, but I don't know if it's as heated as it used to be. And now we don't play Mid Prairie, right? So, like that's
It's a loss.
gone away. So now that might actually fire this up more because you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
because that one was one to wait for every year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're gonna play us close until about halftime, and then something happens. They don't drink the Kool-Aid at half, right? And then smell you later, like
Yeah.
every damn year.
Then I'm getting in. fourth quarter. That's how you know it's.
See, there you go. And I look out and I'm like, holy shit. Marvin Redbone are our corners. Are you shitting me?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, we're playing a good game.
I think we're up by that much? I mean, do we
Yeah.
have that much of a cushion? Are you kidding me?
We really want them to score right now. That's a
Yeah.
bold prediction. You brought it up earlier. I want to come back to it. Speaking of getting scored on, University of Iowa got shit on this weekend by the reigning, defending. We're not reigning and defending now at the time, but now we are. Iowa State Cyclones. This is Cyclone State. What? I'm not gonna get too in your face about it. I'll do it with the guys right after this. But
No, I'm ready for it.
what is the thoughts kind of around your household? I know you guys are big Hawkeye fans, and you may potentially know a guy on the team. What's is this basically the biggest loss all year? I feel like there's so much that goes into this rivalry, even though it means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's out of conference play. It is what it is. But, I mean, it's a game I get fired up for every single year. The rest of our schedule, I couldn't really care too much. I mean, we're Iowa State. Realistic, we've made the Big 12 championship one time. But we play Iowa every year. And the chance to beat you guys, it's like our Super Bowl. And I saw on Twitter some guys just, I'm tired of being Iowa State Super Bowl. I don't care. Well, I'm going to take it seriously every single year. So I want to know kind of what the ramifications of that game were around your sphere.
I didn't want to bring this up because I didn't want to poke anything at you guys, but back to the Clear Creek thing. I about said, this is their Iowa State game, right?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. They got one game they want to win all year, and it's that one. They don't give a shit about the rest of them. I was kind of poking at that, but I didn't want to say too much. No. Hats off to the Cyclones, man.
Hey, hats off to the kicker. Caleb Korkoroff or something like that. Dude's a legend.
He's a redshirt freshman from Dubuque Senior, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, hype that thing, and he had about 10-plus yards to go.
Oh, yeah. After missing. That's what after missing earlier in the game, they trot him out there, and I was like, damn, I feel like we could have gone for one more, get a few yards back. But, okay, and then just smoked.
I don't know, man. Like, what's funny is everybody you talk to, whatever, you hear, podcasts, whatever.
I feel like
Iowa always win those games. They always win those games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they have forever. It doesn't make sense, but they win them. They always do it. Makes complete sense. I think we ran the ball on, 3rd and 8 or something going into that, and everybody's like, what the hell, man? It's like, because we know our defense is going to come through. They always do, right? Play the safe game, punt, let the defense do their thing.
Yeah.
And Iowa State did what they had to, and they took advantage of a couple little mistakes of Iowa. 2 plays, boom, boom, field goal, 54-yarder. Game over. I mean, that kid, that did give him some credit, right?
Yeah.
So, no, it was pretty awesome. Grady? Sorry, Grady Swap. I'm on a podcast, Grady. Marv on live.
Grady.
Actually.
Yeah.
Grady.
Sorry. Here he comes. Coming again. Yeah.
Howdy.
Hey, what's going on? I didn't know you were 6'15" foot tall now.
Well, 6'3", baby.
That's crazy. I was gonna bring it up with you mentioned Niall, like, bro, I remember these kids being like 4'8", they were just little munchkins, and now they're 6'3" out there fucking at fullback. Like, what the hell?
So he like I told you, it takes him a few steps to get going, but once he gets going, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's exactly as fast as his other 2 brothers, but he can freaking scoot, and he's 6'3". So he's still got some figuring out to do. But if that dude could get mean and run behind his pads, I mean, that's a pretty big, fast running back to be messing with. But
you making him like chocolate chip pancakes? Getting them beefed up? Getting them beefed up?
He just had 2 of them this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of the other brothers, what's Braylon up to nowadays? What's the update on Braylon?
Braylon. You mean the Casey's player of the game in the Class 3A state championship game?
Yeah, that one.
Like, did you see that coming?
Absolutely not.
That kid. He never lacked confidence. That's what got that kid where he was. Braylon is he's doing an apprenticeship for electrician right now, and I think he likes it. I mean, he works every single day, makes some money. He lives with some buddies in Corville in a condo, so he's living the college life / working, right? So let's make money and have fun.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, he had some smaller schools reach out to him and wanted him to play, and he wanted no part of, which is awesome that he decided that, right? Like instead of trying to do both and then struggling. But no, man. You know what's really funny? I got to bring that up, Redbone. So his patent move last year when he'd score was what, Redbone?
Little crane kick deal, Karate Kid.
Well, he got that from an Alabama receiver, shocker. But like the old Karate Kid thing. You ever see any of that, Marv?
Oh yeah, kicking the door down or a crane kick? There's a difference.
The crane kick.
Okay, crane kick. Got it.
So, funny story. So now I told you like Grinnell's actually okay this year, right?
Okay.
So he does that obviously against them or something. That's where they figure this out. So track season comes around. They beat us in the 4x1 for the first time in how many years? And they all four of them guys afterwards did it, which fired Coach Mathis up. So when Coach Mathis is on here, you need to ask him about that. He was fired up about that.
Okay. Well, he's a track guy, right? He's the guy.
He is the guy. And I don't even remember. Braylon said something to him along. Yeah, I like when like little kids take over stuff that I've done. I don't even know that. Anyway, so I don't even know if this will work. If I show you like a picture on my phone, does that go on your camera or not? I don't know how that works.
Like if you put your phone up to the camera? Yeah, that'd work.
Okay. So, once again, Coach Mathis sends me this the other day. So Grinnell beat a pretty good team last weekend in football. Grinnell's not usually good at football. So how do I
go to your there you go. Okay, is that the crane kick?
There's 3 or 4 of them doing it in one picture. Like this is their thing now. So anyway, so when we play them, that's going to be a pretty like you talk about like maybe a new heated rivalry, right? Maybe it's them. But anyway,
oh God.
Let's rewind back to the Iowa State game.
Okay.
So they did what they had to do, man. We all thought the same thing, right? In the first half, like this might be a beatdown.
I don't know if everyone was thinking that. Maybe Iowa fans, but
yes.
If you're an Iowa State fan, you knew it's still possible. We're still in it.
Well, after we were inside the 5 twice and took field goals instead of touchdowns, that one hurt.
That was what I was
over at half, though.
What's that, Redbone?
He said it was
game
over.
Over at half.
It would have been, I think, if they scored in both those.
Yeah, agreed. But that was to me the biggest thing was that it felt like Iowa State was able to hang defensively, and if we can just get the offense going, which Jalen Knoll, Higgins, like
they're dogs, man.
We've got the weapons if it just clicks, and I know I would, obviously we know now how it ended, but like at the time it's like obviously Iowa's defense very very good. There's a chance that they don't bend or break, right? They just completely shut us down. There is that chance, but if we can find a way. And that was, bro, I mean,
they did.
I was so pumped.
Rocco's legit, man.
Rocco's going to be.
So the 75-yarder that they hit, was that the first play of the second half or whatever?
Pretty close to it, yeah.
They're on offense. That one and then that wheel route there in that last drive. I mean, you couldn't throw those balls, I don't think, any better. Like in stride where it has to be in crunch time, like that's pretty legit, dude.
Well, I'm scared he's going to leave. He's too good for Iowa State, Actually, speaking of, you'd be a good person to ask this question to. I didn't have it written down, but what are your thoughts on the Guardian Caps right now in kind of the NFL, and I think they're making their way into college as well?
Honestly, I don't. I've seen a little bit of that on TV. I haven't looked deep enough into it, but it's supposed to create more returns, right?
Supposed to reduce the amount of concussions. It's
right.
The Guardian Caps, the padding they have on their helmet.
Oh, Jesus, sorry. No. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the new kickoff deal.
No.
They sound the same. New kickoff, Guardian cap.
No, I didn't know
Anybody
if
could
it
have
was
made that mistake.
Stupid name for it. Jesus Christ, you're gonna have to cut that shit, dude.
That's the one thing that's making it.
Those things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of cheesy. I don't know. Honestly, you guys know too. There's some, and D1's probably completely different. There's some collisions at practice, but it's nothing crazy, right? I don't know. Yeah, better safe than sorry, I guess. I will say, routing back to Dowling, when we went to team camp, they would wear those things. And there's a reason for it, right? Like, there's a reason they make those things. I got no beef with those things. What do you guys think about them?
Redden, go ahead.
I think they look dumb. I mean, why not just put them inside of the helmet? Like, why does it have to look like that?
I will say, let's be honest. The helmets that are today, compared to even when you guys were probably junior high, or
I was just gonna say, did you ever coach any junior high or not really?
no, but I don't. Junior high seems like they always get the shit on equipment.
When it's 7th grade, so you're coming up from Pop Warner, and they're not Sevies anymore, but the 7th graders. We're walking into the men's locker room, which is connected to the pool, so it's super humid. And Mathis walks back there, and he's got his keys with 500 keys on it. And ching, 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 opens up, and you see and the cobwebs are coming down, and there's dust falling. And they grab this big old bag of helmets, and they open it up, and they move the leather ones out of the way. And they hand you this 5-gallon bucket, and they're like, "All right, does that fit?" And you, yeah, I think so. They're like, "All right, next, bring it."
Yep, you're good.
That's literally what those. It's like Shut, I think, is the brand. They had like one little blue liner basically, and that was it.
Yeah. So back to those Guardian cap deals. The helmets these days, those babies they're pretty awesome. They're so improved. So maybe it's a little extreme to wear those. I don't know.
I know they're working towards putting like that Guardian cap technology into the helmet. This is just like kind of an in-between period. And I was just gonna say, you kind of asked. I like it. I don't like the look, but I do think, as much as we all love AB, do we need a bunch of ABs running around out there? I don't know if we necessarily need more CTE, SPN. So I think they look ridiculous. I'm not gonna be. I'm fake. No, that's how it is. But I do think they're probably pretty important. No, this Williamsburg team, though, I mean, obviously a hiccup against Xavier, but that's going to happen, right? This is, coming off a championship especially. That's something that a lot of coaches will harp on, that second sophomore season slump, if you will, but I know that's not exactly what it is. It's high school, but I think that's a wake-up call for them, and if they're anything like what I saw in the West Branch game, I mean, I'm not even kidding you. They really did look like D1 players out there. They looked fast. They looked huge. Honestly, they looked enormous. So if they see this guy's, I don't necessarily mean muscular, just size. Okay, let's not get big heads here.
Tall.
Yes, large humans. But I don't see any reason for them to not, kind of find their way and lock things up here the remainder of the season. Obviously, big game against CCA. That rivalry being renewed is going to be huge. And then with a bit of a tougher schedule now, second year in 3A. I mean, it's going to be more fun, like you said last year. It's going to be closer games all the way down the stretch. Redden, I think, has one last question for you. Redden, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you have to pick between your two sons, Grady and Kaden. Okay, that's not the right verbiage. Pick maybe isn't the right verbiage. If you look at the two of them, for the remainder of the year, combine them, what's their over-under on touchdowns scored this year between the two of them?
That's a good
question.
question.
You combine them?
Yeah, so say you think Caden's going to score 4 touchdowns. You think Grady's going to score 7 touchdowns.
Grady High School.
Together, that'd be 11. Yeah, Kaden at Iowa, Grady at Williamsburg.
Gotcha.
Add their touchdowns together. What do you think it'll be for this season?
It's a tough one. That was
12-ish.
11, 12, yeah, somewhere right in there.
It's not a bad line at all.
11.5.
Let's go 11.5. I like that.
I think that's where I'd put him at.
I don't mind that line at all.
2 to 4 for Kaden. 7 to 10 for Gardy.
Yeah, 11.5. I mean, if we're stuck at 0 at the end of the year.
Ooh, that'd be rough. You have to get Braylon out at like Loris or something.
Yeah.
Get the Legion numbers up.
Braylon, take your tool balls off. Come over here and score.
Jeez. Oh, shit. All right, well, thanks, Lee, for hopping on. We appreciate it. Maybe we'll get you back on, like we said last year, before the playoffs. I'm sure you guys are going to be well within the thick of things there, looking to make another repeat kind of situation going on there. And good luck to you guys, and good luck to your sons, obviously. It's going to be a huge year. Football is all the way back, and we couldn't be more thankful that you made it on. Thank you, Lee.
Yep,
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun. Let's do it again.
This episode of Marv on Air is brought to you by Poncheros. If you love football and you love burritos, you'll love Poncheros. Poncheros is the perfect tailgate snack, whether at the big game or chilling at home. Poncheros has you covered. Head on down to Poncheros and grab your burrito to make your day and football season better. My go-to is double chicken, but you can customize your burrito however you feel fit. Extra queso? Poncheros has it. Salsa? You got it. Want your burrito double wrapped? That is no problem. That's the beauty of Poncheros. It's your burrito, your way. So head on down to Poncheros and get your burrito today. Now, here's the podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Marv on Air. Today is a great day. Today is a great day because week 1 of the NFL is finally up. We've got a whole slate of games under our belt, and week 2 of college football has also wrapped up. Guess what that means? My 2 teams, undefeated. It's a great day to have a great day. And joining me today, we've got a bunch of guys with, I think, a bunch of teams that have L's under their plate. I don't know, especially that guy, I know for sure. That's the only one I can guarantee you. He does not know what a win feels like. It's been 2 weeks almost since the Hawkeyes won a game. We can jump right into that and get the pain done and over with early for you. Chase, what was that game like? You were at the game. Obviously, 13 up at halftime, had to feel pretty good, but were you confident? Because I know myself, I felt like the Cyclones were not out of it at half.
No, I was not. I wouldn't say I was confident, but I thought we had a good hold in the game. It should have probably been 21-0 at half. Kicking field goals at the 1 yard line and 3 yard line do not help us at all. We had a drive in the first half that started at the Iowa State 12. We ran 7 plays, could not punch it in, and kicked a field goal. So not the most ideal situation there. And then
I also don't
felt
understand
like
the field goal from the Iowa State one. It's just kind of odd. That's like a 99-yard field goal right there. So
no,
right,
your field goal, your side is where we're trying to score.
I know. Oh, sorry. Iowa.
Oh, wow. Joey, you're going to jump in. You got to know what you're talking about here.
Hey, I'm just trying to get a riff off. All right, keep going.
Ridiculous. Iowa State fans don't know ball, confirmed.
You don't need to know ball to fucking win games. I know that much. We fucking kicked a
Exactly.
54-yard game-winning field goal. Kyle Conrarty, legend round names. I hope he never has to buy another beer or meal again. That guy, I mean, especially after shanking one early in the game, I was nervous. I think it was like 13 seconds when they trotted him out there, and I was like, why are we not? I feel like we should maybe try to get a few more yards here. A little bit of extra cushion wouldn't hurt. But that thing was good from 65. He absolutely murdered that ball.
Yes.
When that ball goes through, Nebraska loses their shit. Redden can speak on that in just a little bit. But was that stadium just dead silent? Was Iowa State pretty prominent in the crowd there? Or what were the vibes? Because there was still time left on the clock. It wasn't impossible for Iowa to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, there was
vibes
definitely
are down
more
to me.
Cyclones than I thought.
It was pretty red. It was definitely pretty red. Red
Even
in.
volume-wise, like, you could hear it. When that field goal went through, I figured it would be dead quiet and hilarious. There was, like, a surprising amount of cheers. Kinnick, definitely not Hawkeye territory like I thought it was. It's pretty openly friendly environment for everyone of any jersey color. It doesn't matter. Cardinal and gold, they do just fine there. What's his name? Oh, Matt Campbell. Yeah, he has not lost in Kinnick Stadium since 2018, by the way.
Legend.
I couldn't legally
Legend.
drive.
Boom.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's not true, but
I
it
think
sounded good.
no, it's true. I just fact checked it. I was just thinking about that. How loud it was there, and the first thing that comes to mind, Iowa State. It's like a 2-hour drive between the two, right? In-state rivalry. That's what makes it so great. And then I was like, well, you would think if they're that close, Iowa State people still have to buy the tickets, right? Wouldn't Iowa just try to buy up all the tickets so they have home field advantage? Okay, maybe that's the case. I think what actually happened was all the Iowa fans just got so hammered at their own tailgate, they were celebrating early, that they were like, yeah, oh, you're from Iowa State. Hey, we love you. State of Iowa, stand strong. Here, have our tickets. Fucking, we don't care. We're going to win this game. And then all these Iowa State people just creep in, and we added to the atmosphere. Do you think that could be the case, Chase? Or do you think Iowa actually does have any semblance of school pride?
I mean, that's just a ridiculous claim. They have to sell tickets to the away team as well. There's a visitor side and a home side for a reason. I mean, I don't know
Iowa State's student section is on the visitor side, so I just don't understand what you're doing.
Chase, I got a real question. Is Kirk Ferentz the problem or what? I think his time is past it. Iowa needs a modern solution if they want to beat Iowa State, if they ever think about dreaming about it in Kinnick.
I don't think he's a it's tough. That's
did
tough.
it for
He's had
Williams without him?
he's had like
Oh,
23
didn't they have
great
to get his
years there. Maybe
sperm,
we need to
actual
adapt
sperm?
and get someone else.
I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know.
No, okay. I was going to his son. His son had to get kicked off, and he was there as an offense coordinator for too long.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yes.
And Tim Lester's offense is pretty electric, wouldn't you say, Chase?
It's first year. We're 2 games in. There's going to be growing pains. You're not going to go from no offense to electric offense right away.
Oh.
It looks better for sure. It's just if it's where we need to be at to compete at the high level that we'd like to be at. But give it some time. You got to stay strong. Be ready to roll.
Yeah.
The high level of the West Big Ten. Right. Awesome.
There's no.
I know. Not anymore.
There's no conferences in the Big Ten anymore.
Yeah, there are no more conferences. I feel like there was. Yeah. There was. If there was one thing Iowa could have done better, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and I'll never root for Iowa. It's in the segment before this when we talked to Lee Wetjen. I say very clearly I will never root for Iowa. But if they could have incorporated Kaden Wetjen a little bit more, could have been a different story. I know every single time Iowa State special teams puts me on edge, but every single time they punted to Kaden, I just knew, I mean, there is a chance that he just rips one wide open here, and it's no longer as close as it was. Because like when you look at like great comebacks, right? Like the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl, like all the Falcons need to do is not pass the ball. Like don't leave as much time on the clock. You need to score a few points. Like if Iowa could have just, like they had 3 straight 3-and-outs, I think, and just giving that many chances to Iowa State, it was rough. Their defense kind of kept them in it a little bit. Obviously, it was a low-scoring game by most standards, but I don't know. I feel like Iowa State's on the up and up. Like I said, we're going to win the national championship this year, Big 12. Chase, you do have them winning the Big 12, so, I mean, you can't be too upset with where they're at momentum-wise, but overall, college football is rocking and rolling. We'll move away from the Iowa State game now and into some bigger games that more people care about. Because if you're from the state of Iowa, you obviously care about the Cyhawk game. But if you're not, then it's like, okay, kid made a cool kick. Great. That's the end of the story. First up, I want to go to Texas over Michigan because that was kind of a big one, and it ended up being a bit of a dud. Michigan kind of looks like trash. Joey, did you watch this game? Did you have any money on it? I don't know if that was one I wanted to stay away from. And what was your biggest takeaway if you did watch it?
Yeah, I had a ton of money on Michigan winning that game or covering the spread, but obviously Texas just beat the living crap out of them. And to be honest, I think the big house is now the little house on the prairie. It's nothing anymore. Also, one standout point is that Quinn Ewers, whatever you want to call it, is super comfortable on the road, and that looks awesome for Texas. So
That's a good sign. That's obviously a good sign. Andy's in those Dr. Pepper commercials now. So,
yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, you can't hit him. I
That-
love Dr.
Dr. Pepper reigns supreme. It's the best soda out there. I don't know if maybe Diet Coke. We could talk to Dale Lyons about Diet Coke. Get him fired up. Ren, did you have any takeaways from the Michigan game, or should we move towards a different? I've got a certain smaller school in mind.
I don't like how you're wording that one bit, but from the Texas-Michigan game, it's kind of like, do you think Michigan is bad or do you think Texas is good? What do you want, Nick? What do you want? It's a podcast. Speak.
No, I just don't know what you're talking about because I don't think we're on the same page.
Absolutely, we're not. When are we on the same
I
page?
think you guys are thinking about two different teams.
That's what makes this so great.
Regardless, the question coming out of this game, is Texas good? Is Michigan bad? Which one is it? Nobody knows, but it's probably somewhere that both. Texas is good, Michigan is bad. Some people are saying that Michigan might be a 5-loss team this year. That feels like a bit of an overreaction. They're definitely not very good offensively. That's evident if you watch the game. But Michigan will figure it out. They still have 5-star talent everywhere on the field. It's hard to lose games to Purdue and Indiana and Illinois when you have as much talent as Michigan does. But in regards to Texas, I think Texas is just good. Quinn Ewers looks extremely good, like scarily, confidently good, to a point where like the people who were saying all preseason, like, hey, Texas might be back, Quinn Ewers looks like a guy who could lead these guys to a championship. It's kind of leaning towards them being right now visually, just if you give it the eye test. But it's still Texas, so they're just doomed, and they hopefully fall flat on their face.
Agreed. That could definitely be the case. And I also wonder, maybe if Michigan is ranked 24-25, which might be kind of where they're at. Obviously, coming off the championship, they got the benefit of the doubt and then a week 1 win. But what is that really worth? Maybe we perceive that game just a little bit differently. Now, moving towards the smaller school, I was going to go NIU, but you reminded me of another small school that has little relevance in most capacities other than in one former Nebraskan who is at Barstool now, and their championship from 30 years ago. I think they had a drone show that showed that. What did you make of the Nebraska-Colorado game? Obviously, you kind of called it. Nebraska just made Swiss cheese of Colorado's line, had Shadua running all over. I think Shiloh broke his forearm in that game, so that was kind of a bummer for Shiloh, obviously. But what did you make of that? Does Nebraska have like actual Big Ten hopes here?
Well, first off, before we get into that exactly, the Cy-Hawk Trophy is just a battle to see who gets to be little brother for the year. Iowa State happened to win this year. I don't know why exactly an Iowa State fan wants to talk about Nebraska being irrelevant and stuff like that. Iowa State has absolutely no case. Zero. They won a Fiesta Bowl during COVID when 99% of the country wasn't playing football. These are just statistics, factual statistics. But beyond that, getting to the Colorado game, yeah, Shiloh Sanders broke his forearm when Dante Dowdle trucked him, ran him over completely. That's his fault. Train's coming. Get off the tracks. Colorado does not look like a good football team. They look completely incompetent, all the way from their head coach down to Shadur Sanders leaving with 2 minutes left in the game. That's just bad leadership. Point blank is Nebraska did what they were supposed to do. Most people who knew both these teams kind of thought that it would go this way. Colorado has no defense whatsoever. Nebraska has a very good defense, and that's just what played out pretty much. There was no chance. Like, the score looks closer than what the game actually was. There was really no point in that game where it felt like Colorado really had a chance. Once Shadur threw that pick six, it was kind of like, okay, this could get ugly. Granted, Nebraska only scored 28, but it felt like that was like a 49-7 game when it was 28-10. But I think that's what Matt Rule kind of wants to do going forward, is just get a stranglehold on the game, and then he wants to play different guys, get a lot of different, personnel looks in there. And he's done a great job so far, and I'm excited to see what happens with UNI. That should be probably a 49-7 game, but we'll see. It might be another like 35-7 game just because it's the second half and we don't take our foot off the gas, but we okay, let's try to figure some things out. We're going to lower our blitz rate quite a bit, and we're not going to be quite as aggressive on offense, but we'll see what happens.
Well, so you talk about Matt Rule, obviously his second year there, and when you look at his track record, he's turned up programs in year 2 and 3. I've seen a lot of clips, of just his speeches, mid-practice, post-practice. I don't know if I've seen necessarily a pregame speech, but it seems like he knows exactly what to say and how to say it to get those boys fired up. I'm not even on the team, and it gets me fired up. Moving forward, you kind of mentioned last week how Nebraska feels like when they're in that week 1 game. It's like, okay, we handled this one. We didn't necessarily squeak by. Do you think that the train is on the tracks, headed in the right direction towards maybe could they get the Big Ten championship game, or are they, it's still Nebraska?
Yeah, I don't think they make the Big Ten championship game this year. I'm also kind of like a different Nebraska fan where like I'm at a weird age where I've never seen Nebraska be good, right? I've only heard about the glory days, which is, fun and all, but I never got to experience that. I've only known pain and heartbreak pretty much my entire life. And so this year it feels different because in the past, we had good teams and it was like, okay, this is fun. We're going to make a bowl game. I'm talking about like a decade ago, but it was like, okay, this is a fun team. This is a good team, but it never really felt like special. This is a team, maybe not this year, but, a year or two from now, feels like a team that could compete for Big Ten championships. I don't think they'll do it this year. They still have Ohio State and Oregon on the schedule, and it's Nebraska, so they're due to slip up at some point against an Indiana or a Purdue or an Illinois. That just happens. They still have Wisconsin on the schedule, who always plays them tight. They still have Iowa on the schedule, who always plays them tight. So I don't know. I think this is probably somewhere still between 7-5, 9-3 territory, which doesn't get you to the Big Ten championship game. But I do think they'll go bowling.
Well, and that would just be purely electric. Obviously Nebraska. It seems like with is it Raiola, right? Dylan Raiola, that's how you say it? He called him Areola last, 2 weeks ago. I feel a little bit bad just because I really should be calling him Patrick Mahomes the way he's impersonating him, but either way, he's an absolute baller in the backfield. There, you can't even deny it. We've all seen the video. He's identical.
Yep. It's a little weird.
It is a little bit.
Little weird. It's fine if you're winning. When you start losing, then it's weird. It's just straight weird then. Right now, it's like, okay, if you're going to win, fine. Do what you want. But I don't know. Maybe he should have just been like number 10 or something, and we wouldn't have this problem. But
yeah, and recreating the jump. I mean, he did it very, very well. If he wants to go as
I don't
Patrick
think
Mahomes,
that was intentional.
I don't know how it couldn't have been. It was like
I don't think
they're
that's
identical.
I think the haircut and the facial hair and number is 100% intentional. I don't think that the in-game mannerisms, I don't think that's a conscious effort.
Yeah,
but the haircut and the facial hair, that's a conscious effort.
Definitely between the tackles for sure. Obviously he models his game after him, I'm sure a little bit.
They have
but
the
it's
same
not
quarterback
like,
coach.
Yeah, it's not like he's like, oh, I want to look like Patrick on this play. Like he's just out there playing quarterback. I definitely agree with you there. But yeah, the sunglasses and all that, it's very, very, very similar. Now, Redden, I'm going to pivot away from you. But
Patrick Mahomes and not Deshaun Watson. That's all I'll say.
Yes, definitely. That's a very good point. Smaller schools this weekend had a bit of a heyday. We had a big win from Northern Illinois over Notre Dame. We'll talk about that a little bit. But also I wanted to not let slip under the rug Bowling Green coming in and looking pretty good against Penn State.
Yeah.
That was a bit of an alarming, it wasn't until the very end of that game I felt like that Penn State kind of had their handle. And I don't even know if they really ever had a handle on the game. But Bowling Green came to play. Are we, obviously with this 12-team playoff, we've got more opportunity than ever for these teams. Like a UCF, they didn't make the playoffs when they went undefeated, and now they obviously can. I've got some updated analytics here. It's like 26.5% chance of Boise State making it. Northern Illinois at 15. They're number 2 in G5. Then you got Memphis, UNLV, and Tulane running out the top 5 there for teams that could likely make this top 12 final roster, if you will, final cut. Joey, what do you like as a betting, kind of betting on this moving forward from these smaller schools? Can you put money on like a Tulane at 9.3%? Like that's got to be pretty good odds for them to make the playoff.
Those are exactly my thoughts. I like Tulane a lot. I think the Kansas State game, even though what they do, they lost to Kansas State. I think next week they are on the road at Oklahoma. And I think Tulane could actually pull an upset against Oklahoma because they're not looking too well. And honestly, it'd be pretty incredible to see an NIU or a Boise State or a Bowling Green or whatever you want in there. It's just to toss them in and just kind of, it's like throwing a Beyblade into it or like a fork into a garbage disposal, just causing chaos. Or maybe they won't do, anything. Maybe it's just a stupid idea where a G5 team is going to get their piss beat by a Texas or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's more than likely what'll happen. But look at March Madness, right? No one expects Furman, I think, was the one that beat Virginia. Like, nobody expected that. But that buzzer beater is absolutely iconic, and I can't wait to see if that'll happen, maybe this year, but definitely in the next 5 years. I would have to imagine some small school is going to come to play, and then a team like maybe Texas, maybe Michigan, maybe Oklahoma, they're just kind of, we've got to play Bowling Green first round. All right, let's boat race them. And then it ends up being a one-score game.
I mean, Tulane plays Oklahoma next week, and Oklahoma, they were ranked 15 last week against Houston. And they won 12-6, but Oklahoma punted 8 times against Houston, and Houston really only lost because the Oklahoma defense bailed them out. It was, even though Houston looked terrible 2 weeks ago, Houston played a good game against Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma is not going to be a good team in the SEC.
Well, speaking of teams that, might not be as good as people thought they were going to be, let's go to the NFL, where the Bengals lose to the Patriots. Huge fan of the Patriots, obviously. This one was pretty cool. Nobody expected this. Nobody picked the Patriots to win this game. And I personally think that the Patriots, we could end up 7, 8, 9 wins. I don't know if I want to be in that range. I don't know if I want to be there.
You don't want that many wins.
No,
you want 4.
You want to lose. You want to get Drake May, a nice O-lineman or something. I don't know.
I kind of want this to be our only win. There's a part of me that wants that. Or we get 12, 13 wins, we end up in the playoffs, and that would be pretty sick, for Gerard Mayo's first year. I wouldn't mind if that was the case. We wouldn't get as good of a draft. But it's also, it's just, I don't want to end up in the middle of nowhere, no man's land. We don't make the playoffs. We're just, barely out of the playoffs, and then we pick, like, 20th. Or what would it be, like, probably 14th or 15th, I guess? Like, that is not where I want to be. And it could happen, but honestly, the Patriots looked really good, and another team that looked really good kicked it off on Thursday. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Redden, what do you make of this Chiefs team, and is Baltimore just, like, kind of bad? Because honestly, early in the game, I kind of was like, okay, Baltimore, really, really good. And then Lamar forgot how to throw, and it seemed like everything fell apart. What were your makings of the first NFL game of 2024?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Week 1 with the NFL, realistically, kind of is still like, to me, week 1 and 2 of the NFL don't really tell you a whole lot, just because guys really aren't playing in the preseason at all now. And so for a lot of these guys, it's their first time playing a full game in like 9 months, right? And so a lot of them need a tune-up. When you look at like Cincinnati, right, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins have been like weirdly like holding out. They're going to play. They're going to re-sign. They're not going to re-sign. Whatever. So it's kind of just like, I don't know. To me, week 1 and 2, you can't get a really, really good grasp on teams yet. Unless, I think you can tell how good a team is going to be. I don't think you can tell how bad a team is going to be, just because they might just not be fine-tuned yet.
Unless they're the Panthers, then you can definitely say that they're going to be a bad team for the next 5 years.
I'm picking them to cover this week.
Yeah, you think the Panthers can get turned around?
Oh, wait, no.
Well, they play the Chargers.
Chargers, sorry.
Taking them to cover.
Can Harbaugh hold them off? What's the case?
To me, it's solely a system bet. I saw a stat the other day that that teams that get beat by 35 plus, their next week when they're like more than 3.5 point dogs, they cover at like a 78% rate. So it's purely a system bet.
I don't know. To me, that 22% is just enough to. That's the Panthers. I feel like they are in that category.
They definitely feel like they're in the 22%, but it's a system play.
It is.
I'm going to take 78%.
I don't mind that. Joey, do you bet by the numbers? And we finally have Chase back. So, Chase, I don't know if you want to chime in here too. You kind of got left out of college football.
Disappearing there halfway through.
Yeah, completely just vanished. And luckily, we were on the 2 cameras If you're listening on Spotify right now, we have actually a pretty good Spotify audience. You guys, hey, round of applause for Spotify legends, because that's. Thank you, Chase. Yeah, and Joey, we're really on. Our timing is perfect. But if you're listening on there, we do go. We have the YouTube videos if you guys want to watch. Honestly, it's run pretty poorly, but we appreciate you guys for listening. Now, back to the numbers. Do you guys bet by the numbers? Do you bet by feel? When I bet, I lose every single time, so it's really not worth asking me. And Redden, I don't know if your tracker record's any better. On Marv on Air, remember when we went 0-4 in the Final Four? So, I mean, I feel like it's impossible. Do you guys play by the numbers when possible?
I think yeah, but sometimes it depends. It's like, oh, do I want to do a straight bet? I'm gonna do it by numbers. But if I want to build a parlay and do something funky, you just gotta have some juju. You gotta have some mojo in there, and it's just like, yeah, baby.
Okay, Chase, I thought you were frozen. Honest to God, you were.
Yeah, I know,
you were like literally like a chameleon, barely moving. That was crazy, trying to blend in. What do you think? I don't know if your mic is working or not, but what do you think?
I'm here.
Let's go! Chase, so good.
We are here.
I don't really. I didn't know about that system bet that Ren just threw out there. I would never really bet by that. I'm pretty much a vibes guy or what I think is going to happen. So.
Which is why you bet on Iowa, I'm sure, right?
Indeed.
Everyone knows statistically Iowa State was going to win that game. Now, moving statistically, I don't know numbers-wise exactly how accurate it is, but Jordan Love's MCL could be a big deal for the Panthers moving forward. Obviously, the Eagles get that win in Brazil. What do you guys make of that? Eagles good, Packers bad? Was it the field? Was it I feel like the Eagles might be back.
Yeah, Eagles are definitely back, but I think the field just tore up everybody. But one thing I did see, just floating around X, formerly known as Twitter, is that Jordan Love is just trying to do whatever he can right now to get back in the field. It's crazy. I'm seeing stuff like he just wants to get back. He just wants to play, and I think we might see him sooner than we were hesitating.
Yeah, well, and I think it's only a strain or a minor deal, so it could only be a couple, like maybe 4 weeks. Another guy out for 4 weeks now, and for sure on the IR is Puka Nacua. I don't know about this Rams team. I'm gonna be honest. I think the Lions are really good. But the Rams, it feels like they're like just an element away, and I don't know if it's Donald retiring or what to make of that. But Redden, do you think the Lions are just better, or the Rams got back in that one late, obviously forced overtime, our first overtime game of the season. Do you think that the Rams can make some noise? Do they obviously without Puka these next 4 weeks is gonna be tough, but I mean, that's a weird team to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really high on Matthew Stafford. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think Sean McVay is a really good coach. So I think the Rams will be right around like 10 to 12 wins probably this year. The Lions, though, I think they'll still be good. I think they answered the call in a tough week. I mean, Rams is a tough week one draw. That's not a gimme. So I think both teams will be fine going forward, similar to how I feel about the Chiefs and the Ravens, similar to how I feel about the Eagles and the Packers. Like, the NFL schedules these games on purpose week one to give us some good games right off the bat there. But I feel like, it's not a good indicator if a team loses week one, like, okay, these guys are in trouble. I mean, look at the Lions last year. Wait, no, they won. Look at the Chiefs last year. So It's like week one, they're still, I think, they're just feeling it out. So I'm not too worried about any teams losing. I think you learn more from who looks better than you thought than who looks worse than you thought.
I think that I would agree outside of Giants and Panthers.
Yeah, they might just be bad. But we also expected that coming in. It's like, okay, yep, they looked correct. The Giants actually might have looked worse than correct, which is incredible.
Yeah, their fans were not happy about it either, standing outside the stadium to chirp Jones. I mean, I get it. That's his job, right? But they were landed on thick. Poor guy. I mean, he did commit robbery. Okay, hi. Thanks, Chase. And it's back to us two.
Good work, Chase.
But yeah, any other big games you guys want to talk about? Obviously, the Finns coming up over the over the Jags. That was a big game, mostly for what happened before the game. I'm trying to look here. The Steelers were the only AFC North team to win. Didn't score any touchdowns. The Bears, no, Yeah, the Bears won without any offensive touchdowns. Do you guys have anything circled from week 1 that you really want to touch on?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Jaguars Dolphins. I think the Jags are looking better this year. I mean, they had some terrible plays with ETN fumbling at the goal line, and just actually having to play the Dolphins week 1. I think that's just a setup for an assassination. But honestly, Trevor Lawrence is looking decent. He can get some plays going, and what's his name? Brian Robinson Jr. or something like that, the running back. Yeah, I think he did well, and I think the Jags are gonna get a win against the Browns next week. I think it's gonna be awesome to have the Browns.
Dan Orlovsky's calling for Deshaun Watson's head. What do you think of that, Red? Are we moving to Jameis? Can we please move to Jameis?
I would, from just like a entertaining game standpoint, I'm always going to be a proponent of Jameis Winston playing football. I think that he should be in the league in like perpetuity, and that every week he should just rotate from team to team, and then they have to start him. Like, oh, it's our Jameis week. Guess Mahomes isn't playing. Got to play Jameis this week. It's a league rule. He's just so much fun to watch. Watson, it's like, besides all the off-the-field issues, which he just seems like a terrible, terrible person.
Yep.
He did not look good, but also their defense did not look good. There was nothing about that game that the Browns did well. They are dealing with some injuries right now, so it's like, how bad are they really? I guess we'll find out probably in the next, month and a half. But overall, I think the Browns are definitely going to be a downer this year, just because I don't think they're going to get good quarterback play out of a guy who's dealing with as many sexual assault charges as Deshaun Watson.
Did you think that you know how Daniel Jones and Watson have like the biggest contracts in the league, and they're one of the worst quarterbacks? Do you think, like, hypothetically, if they died, like, would the contracts be voided? Maybe
they get voided, but there's still a dead cap hit. There was, I think, Browns fans doing the math. They were like planning an assassination. They're like, how big would the cap hit be if this guy just died?
I'm like, maybe Daniel Jones were like,
it was still like $78 million.
I don't wish it upon him. It's just like as a hypothetical, like.
Some people call
Brown
for
fans
others
are doing
jobs.
the math. I think it's $78 million.
God damn, Joey! Holy shit! I mean, hey, it's all hypothetical. I get it, but did not see that coming. I gotta be honest. That.
All right, what were you gonna say, Nick? Before I cut you off.
Well, I was just looking to move towards this week. Did you have any games you wanted to talk about, Red? And I know that breakdown on Jameis, much appreciated. We all love Jameis around here, but if you don't have anything, we can always move towards week 2.
You mean week 1? Anything from week 1?
No.
Yeah. Do you have anything from week 1? If not, week 2 is coming up and tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I got nothing else from week 1.
It was fun. Football is back, but there's storylines everywhere. It's just what do you want to talk about, right? Like, what's actually worth talking about? Because some of them, it's like Bo Nix. Are we really going to talk about Bo Nix? Caleb Williams, you could maybe make a case, but it's like they're all rookies, right? I'm not trying to harp on a rookie too much because it's their first full-on NFL action. Dan Orlovsky's comment, it's not Arizona State anymore, bub, was kind of crazy. That I kind of like that. He definitely came after Williams there. But moving forward, tomorrow, or you guys will see this today, we're filming this on Wednesday, the Bills-Dolphins game could be really good. Obviously, we're glad that's in prime time. Who are you guys taking? Joey, I know you're kind of our betting connoisseur because I would say Chase, but guy just wants to leave in the middle, so I don't know what to tell you. Joey, who are we taking tomorrow? Spread right now is Miami 2.5.
We got Bills 1-0 and Miami 1-0. Bills on the road. One thing I learned today is that Mike McDaniels, that's the coach of the Dolphins, correct?
Yep.
Say that
Yep.
right?
Mike McDaniel, I think, but yeah.
He is 0-3 against Josh Allen and the Bills. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised. I know every time they go up to Buffalo, it's kind of the same story.
Yeah. I've seen that the Bills kind of they own the Dolphins right now. But the thing is, I'm seeing right now is that the Bills' defense is really lacking currently. I think their cornerback safety situation is just terrible, and I think the Dolphins are just gonna pick apart the Bills' defense. I think the Bills, Josh Allen, will do the same thing with the Dolphins, but I think the Dolphins are gonna do it better than they can do, than the Bills can do, and I think the Dolphins are gonna win. And I don't know about the spread. I just want Dolphins heavy money line.
Well, I know, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open in the end zone is not a good look for that Bills secondary. I mean, obviously, I know it's not Kyler Murray's job. It's not his job to worry about throwing to the receivers, but, he was there. And that game could have ended very differently.
I know. I think the Bills are just lacking in the defense, but, I mean, you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, and I think Josh Allen is football Jesus.
Yeah, with Josh Allen out on the field, you can't count him out. Not quite like when Brady was on the field or when Patrick Mahomes was on the field, but he's going to make some plays. He's going to keep it close, and he's going to bring entertaining football to all of us on Thursday Night Football. I cannot wait for that. Then on our Sunday slate, Red, do you have a game in particular you're excited about, and are you dreading watching the Chargers-Panthers game, or is there one that could potentially be worse than that?
Worse than that? I mean, Giants-Commanders that's tough. That's tough. At least we get to be like, oh, let's see how good Jaden Daniels is. But I don't know. This week 2 slate, the primetime games are going to be very good. And I think they're going to be really interesting. I think we're going to learn a lot about a lot of different teams in the primetime games. But the game, just in the general slate on Sunday that I kind of like is Buccaneers-Lions, because a lot of people are really high on the Bucs right now. I've always been a Baker fan going back to his Oklahoma days. And so I want them to be good. I feel like right now the media might be slightly overhyping the Bucs. I kind of want them to prove it a little bit more. But they play the Lions, and that'll be a good test. Lions always are going to play frisky and fun. So that's a game that I am excited to watch this Sunday.
I think there could be a lot of really good games. This, thank you, Chase, for the heads up. I'm going to see if we can get you back in here. Lions Bucks, like you said, could be really good. Honestly, I wonder if Jaden Daniels will throw for 450 yards because it's against the Giants. So, and I was high on Daniels coming into the year. I think Terry McLaurin could tear them up. Cowboys will probably boat race the Saints. I mean, next week, if you're listening or watching right now, I'm working on a graphic where we're going to pick against the spread, or at least have it up for you guys to see all of the games, and we'll be able to break them down a little bit better. But I'm just excited football's back. Bears, Texans, C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams, that'll be a fun one. And then on Monday night, we got Eagles, Falcons. I don't know so much about that one. I know people are already calling for Kirk Cousins' job, which is kind of crazy after 1 week. He didn't even play that bad. But quarterback play and tight end play all around the league was really bad this week. How'd you guys' fantasy teams fare? Because I think it was the worst week for tight ends. I don't know if it was opening week or week in general, but they had 1,000 yards combined or something. It was actually really bad.
I'm 2-0.
Not me.
Okay.
Not me. I was losing heavy. But one thing I can know is that I've seen heavier sets in offenses, and it looks like running is going to be a new thing in the game, and I think passing is on its way down.
A lot more 2 tight end sets too. We saw that with the Ravens game. Isaiah Likely had a lot of targets. Mark Andrews, they were calling him a glorified left tackle. And I think you're going to see that with a lot more teams where it's the Niners kind of did it. Kittle wasn't a huge factor, but in the past game, he wasn't seeing as many targets as I guess people might have thought he was going to have. So I think we're just seeing a lot more 2 tight end sets, and we're seeing a lot more distribution from the quarterbacks to tight end number 2. So I'm guessing that had something to do with it.
Yeah, well, look at the Lions. They literally just clicked fullback or a halfback dive over and over, and that won them the game. That was kind of sick.
Go, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah, what can you say? And Purdy and Hall on Monday night, dude. Purdy going up to Hall before Rodgers was awesome. I was such a big fan of that. He literally is dapping up Brees, and they're getting ready to take their jerseys off, and Rodgers comes over and he's like, "Hey, do you know we're supposed to say hi after these games? That's what quarterbacks do." And Purdy's like, "Oh, who are you? I only know this guy. Iowa State legend. Were you in this game? I don't even know who you are." That game was kind of a rough start for Aaron Rodgers' season, but he's back. He played more than 5 snaps. That's really all you can ask for if you're a Jets fan. I think they look pretty decent. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit, those week 1 games. The NFL wants people to watch. So catching a buzzsaw week 1, not ideal for the Jets, but there's a lot of games left. There's a lot of football left in the season. And unlike that, there are not a lot of minutes left in this podcast. We have one last segment for you guys, 0 to Hero. kicked off last week. I thought it went pretty well. I like where we're at. Redden, do you want to get us started on Zero to Hero while I try to get Chase back in the pod?
Yeah, we'll start with Zero. Go to Hero. My Zero of the week is DirecTV and ESPN. They have not yet figured out a deal. So far, if you want to watch ESPN on DirecTV, you've just been having to like put an antenna up on the roof or something and figure something out because the games have not been available. They're supposedly supposed to figure that out here sometime soon, but who knows? There might just, if you're a DirecTV guy, you might just not have football on ESPN here for the remainder of the season. Who knows? Maybe just they just need to get rid of all cable, all subscriptions. Just give us the football. Yeah. Just give us football. There's too many subscription services. There's too many TV providers. Just give us football. There should be a football button on every remote.
I can't remember the last time I heard about DirecTV being actually used by a person.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then my hero of the week is Netflix. Netflix is once again going to be doing Full Swing, which is where they cover the PGA season. And I guess they kind of do some live coverage as well, too, which is always good to see and hear from those guys. Just see what's going on with the, I guess, kind of international league of golf, you could call it. So my hero of the week is Netflix for bringing back Full Swing. They're apparently going to cover like the Scotty Scheffler arrest and that and stuff. That'll be super interesting. That should just be an entire episode, quite frankly. Scotty Scheffler's awesome. He did nothing wrong. Free Scotty. But my hero of the week is Netflix.
Interesting. I like it. Going the TV route for both the Zero and Hero there. Speaking of heroes, our hero is back. Chase Malloy. Chase, say something for me. There it is.
Hey, how we doing? Sorry about that.
I'm so glad that Chase was able to figure it out between his Iowa waters, if you will. Chase, who's your Zero and Hero for the week before you inevitably pick up your phone, forget you're on a podcast, start texting someone, and lose connection again?
It's not what happened. But my hero is the Saints. We kicked the shit out of the Panthers. It didn't necessarily take away all my pain for the weekend, but it kind of helped. This Panthers are just really bad at the end of the day when it comes down to it. But happy to see them succeeding. My Zero is Deion Sanders and the circus he is running at Colorado. It is ridiculous. That O-line is awful. He's letting his son, Shadir, walk off the field with 2 minutes left. He claims that it's to get checked out for an injury. You got all week to do that, buddy. Stay on the field, shake hands, grow up. And then he's going to his son's going to press conferences and blaming his O-line, which he's not necessarily wrong. But you still got 10 games to play with these guys? If I was that O-line, I'm going to pull the old longest yard, just let everyone through, let him get hammered. See if he can do it on his own.
Tank his draft stock?
That's my Zero. Hey.
Well, I'm glad we were able to get Chase's opinion out of these. I don't know. The Colorado situation is very, very interesting because it is prime. You know, he's going to draw a lot of eyes, and obviously last year it was the biggest show on TV for the first 4 weeks. Everything about it was just electric, and that, you know, you got the new celebration, and then all of a sudden wheels fall off, and we're like, hey, it's a new year. Colorado's going to be really good. And then Nebraska comes in, and as much as I hate to say it, Nebraska did look pretty good there. We'll see if they can keep that train rolling. Redden seems to think so. Joey, your Zero and Hero for week 2.
My Zero is the former running back of the Vikings, Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson has been, not only does he beat kids, but he was ordered by a Houston judge to turn in numerous assets to help pay back the debt. It's estimated worth $12 million. This all-pro running back, he owes $12 million. You had $12 million in the bank, Adrian. Why do you owe $12 million?
Well, he was so electric on the field. Like, if you guys remember watching him, bro, he was, and it just seems to be like it's like an AB situation a little bit. Now, speaking of, have you guys seen AB's Twitter recently? He does not miss. I mean, he's just firing off bangers.
It's not him running it.
I don't care who runs it. It's funny, bro. It is so funny. But, okay, right. I shouldn't have jumped in there. Hero for the week, Joey.
Okay, don't worry. And then my hero of the week has the same name as me. Joey Chestnut consuming 18 brats in the brat eating contest, and I think Charlie XCX would love that for a brat summer.
Dude, it's undisputed, right? Like, he's the greatest eater of all time now. I don't know if you can. Chase, you and I were, wrestlers. We were watching all the food eating videos, if you will. Who was that guy who on YouTube? He was huge, and then obviously
Matt
Joey
Stoney.
Chestnut. Matt Stoney, thank you. He's a lot of fun to watch. I would love to see a Matt Stoney, Joey Chestnut, but that might be the end of Homeboy's career. I think that, putting it out on Netflix like that, doing it away from the 4th of July, I didn't necessarily love. Missed Joey on the 4th of July, but Kawasaki is just roasted. I don't even know how he comes back from that.
I think Matt Stoney's the only guy that beat Joey Chestnut in the 4th of July competition. I might be wrong, but I think Matt Stoney is the guy that beat him.
You know what we should do? We should have Matt Stoney and Badlands Chugs on. That's what we need to get on here. Bro, we're going to make that happen for you viewers out
Legends
there.
for my high school years.
They were the reason we survived wrestling season. Now,
exactly.
My last, zero and hero before we just get into our closing remarks here. My zero for the week was the Miami-Dade Police.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what Tyreek did was right or wrong. Okay, we're going to stay away from that. But the fact that they arrested him and then he goes in and scores an 80-yard touchdown and does the handcuff celebration, bad luck for the police. I don't know. Getting embarrassed like that on national television, it wasn't ideal for those guys. But obviously Tyreek said today, hey, could have done better. Could have been a better human about it. I'm sure he'll get better. I don't know who the guy is that's on administrative leave. I'm sure he's going to get better as a human, from this. We hope everybody gets better. But, man, getting embarrassed like that. I mean, it was everywhere. I woke up, I rolled over, and it's like just the whole feed is all Tyreek. And then at like 2 o'clock, whatever it was, when he scored, it was like, yeah, see ya. That whole police department's getting fired. They just let him roast the Jags there. That was awesome. And then, well, awesome for Tyreek. Zero for the police department. Hero for the week. I'm torn. As an Iowa State fan, I want to go Kyle Conradi. That 54-yarder to win it all was just, I mean, anyone within 100 miles heard me. I can tell you that. I was loud as hell when he put that one through. But I do kind of want to go Thomas Hammock from Northern Illinois. His speech after the game, if you haven't seen it, pull it up. I don't know what our rights are and also our technical abilities. I don't have the video for you guys, but he's like shedding tears. I think he played football there, and he's been the head coach since 2019. Just an emotional game for them in that big win over Notre Dame, doing it in South Bend. Shout out to that reporter asking him, hey, why are you so emotional? I wonder why. Okay. Feel like that one wasn't necessary. But, yeah, he was an absolute dog in that. Obviously, that whole game, head coach plays a big role, and then coming out and just he knew exactly what to say and everything he told the team before. We don't need luck. We just need to be our best, and they were their best that day. And, man, that's what football's all about right there. Honestly, it was a really cool thing to see. But I think, Chase, what's your biggest bet for the week? Because you've been in and out, so you haven't had too much screen time.
I got a bit of a lay for tomorrow. They don't have the lines for Dolphins running backs out yet because they don't know who's not hurt.
What'd you make of the whole CMC situation? What's potentially the guy knew on Friday, potentially he didn't. Maybe he was just told to be ready. Then he shows up, and then they're like an hour before the game, hey, CMC's not going to play. Dude obviously balled out, didn't want to take away from his night. What'd you make of that as a bettor, as a fantasy guy?
I mean, I don't have CMC, so it didn't affect me at all. But I think he just kind of misspoke. He's probably told, like, you're going to get a ton of playing time. Just be ready to start. Maybe was a word or phrase that was said to him. I see a lot of people like getting on his ass about this, and he just had the game of his life. He came in, he's making less than what CMC makes in a single game all year. So let's just calm down and let him have his moment, I'd say. It's not his fault. It'd be the 49ers' fault. I know a lot of people are mad because you can't really sub another running back in for CMC on Monday night because everyone's already played. So that was why a lot of fantasy owners were mad. But at the end of the day, you're playing fantasy. They're playing an actual game here. Let's calm down.
Yeah, especially when it's like real, right? Like fantasy, some people have money in leagues for sure, but it's not okay, I shouldn't say it's nothing because those fantasy punishments, they get out of hand quickly.
Yeah.
I've seen some
But
crazy ones.
If 1 week ruins your whole season, you didn't draft very well. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and I just would like to say that in the league that everyone literally clowned my ass and said I had the worst draft in the history of fantasy football, I actually won. So let's just all acknowledge, first off, fantasy is a game of fucking luck, and I hate fantasy. But yeah, that was the biggest thing. The media was talking to him. Obviously, they got that quote from him on the field, and then they were talking to him in the post-game presser, and he was like, "Man, this is why I'm fucking pissed off. You guys, next question." And I'm like, man, dude just fucking had the game of his life on Monday Night Football, and you guys got him pissed off. Like, just felt bad for the guy. Anyways, back to the Dolphins running backs. What's your plan here for tomorrow night's lay?
So I couldn't throw anything on them. I like Achane to score if he's playing. But my current lay right now is Curtis Samuel over 1.5 receptions. He hit that in like the first half last game. I like James Cook to score, and then Josh Allen over 247.5. This is actually pretty much all Bills players, I'm just realizing. And then Keon Coleman over his 43.5. I like, you could go Tyreek or Jalen Waddle to go over their line. I think Tyreek's is awfully high at 98, but I mean, it's Tyreek. He'll go for 80 on one catch like we saw last week, so that's not a huge deal. The Bills secondary is not fantastic, so if you want to take both, take both. You might as well throw in Tua's over there too then if you want to. I don't have it right now. I'll probably wait to see what the rushing lines are once they come out. It'll probably be tomorrow, right before the game, especially after what happened with this whole CMC situation. They probably won't release any lines until then. I know they still have him as an anytime Achane as an anytime touchdown scorer. It's like minus 115, which isn't great odds, but it's probably worth the bet.
What odds do your parlay come to?
I boosted it. Without the boost, it's plus 950. With the boost, it's 1425. $10 pays out 152.50.
Hey, we're pulling for you, Chase. We are pulling for you. And like for you listeners out there, we're still working on getting that DraftKings group chat figured out. It's complicated. I don't get it, and I'm bad at betting, so it's like I'm not even like that motivated to really get in here because I don't want to lose all $1.50. I bet, you know what I mean.
I am down significantly this year, so I mean, I really need this to hit. I need to get on a roll.
Hey, it's coming. It's coming. With you in charge of the betting here alongside Joey, I can feel the heater, okay? I can feel it.
I'd like to hear Joey's picks. He's done pretty well.
Joey does not miss. I'm in a group chat with Joey. I'm like one of those fly on the wall kind of guys. I don't throw anything in. I don't even really give my opinion, but I get to see the wins, and it's just Joey's like, here's a little parlay for you guys, and then that one misses by a yard, and then he posts 6 that he like 25x'd his money, and he's like, sorry, I forgot to post these guys, my bad.
I don't have any picks right now, but next week I will have some picks for our future games for sure.
Yeah, no, it's Joey does not miss very often. Joey is very good when he doesn't tell you.
Right.
When he doesn't tell you, when he's got it in his back pocket, he's not going to miss. Redden, do you have a game that you're looking forward to in the college football slate that you're going to be betting on at all? You're going to be putting money on the Skurs?
I kind of like K-State to cover against Arizona. I think K-State's just better than Arizona. Arizona has a new coach this year. I don't quite trust him yet. So I'm going to take K-State at home. I just feel like that's there's really no rhyme or reason outside of Arizona has a new head coach and K-State's at home, and I think K-State has a chance to win the Big 12. I don't think Arizona does. I want to say it's like 6.5, 5.5 right now, and it's like in college football. In the NFL, that'd be a lot, but in college football, it's like, okay, it's a touchdown. Like,
yeah,
that's very colorful.
That happens a lot more in college for sure. Okay, guys, that's all we got for week 2. Post week 2 at a college football. Post week 1 NFL, the numbers there, I'm going to forget them pretty soon. I'm just going to stop saying it. But it's our 3rd episode of Marvel on Air. I hope you guys enjoyed Lee. Lee was a hell of an interview. Redden and I had a lot of fun just chatting it up with him, reminiscing on some old memories. We appreciate you guys for sticking around for the whole thing. Chase, thank you so much for stopping by 4 separate times. I think we're going to hit a new record next week. We could be looking at 7 or 8 reconnects, and I mean, hey, I'm all for it. You know, the more chase we can get, the better. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week. Redden, do me the honors.
Deuces.